Success doesn't come from talent alone. It doesn't come from luck, money, or perfect timing. It comes from showing up again and again, especially when no one is watching. This story is reflected by this truth, so let's start it. Andrew grew up in a crowded, noisy neighborhood where dreams were often crushed long before they could take shape. But inside Andrew, there was a strange silence, a silence that filled every time he ran. Running was the only moment when life made sense. His family barely managed to survive. His father worked endless hours, and his mother counted every coin before spending it. A pair of proper running shoes was a luxury Andrew could only dream of. Still, every morning before the city woke up, he slipped out quietly and ran barefoot through narrow streets, broken pavements cutting into his feet. With every step, he imagined stadiums, floodlights, and crowds chanting his name. At 16, Andrew entered his first city-level race. He had trained for months, waking before sunrise, running in the rain, breathing through pain. His meals were small and irregular because his family couldn't afford nutrition plans or supplements. On race day, his heart pounded harder than ever. The whistle blew, and runners surged forward. Within the first lap, Andrew's foot struck uneven ground. He fell hard. By the time he stood up, everyone had passed him. Laughter rippled through the crowd. He finished last, his body bruised and his pride shattered. That night, he sat alone, replaying the moment again and again. Tears burned his eyes, but deep inside, a quiet voice whispered, "Consistency is the key to success." He kept running. Days turned into months. Months turned into years. Andrew ran in heat that burned his lungs and rain that soaked him to the bone. Classmates mocked him, calling his dream unrealistic. His knees screamed with pain, and there were mornings when even standing felt unbearable. He worked part-time jobs loading trucks, cleaning shops, saving every spare coin to buy second-hand shoes and cheap protein bars. Some nights he skipped meals just to afford training equipment. Small victories came, local races, minor medals, but they felt empty. They weren't the dream. They were just reminders of how far he still had to go. Then life struck harder than ever. At 21, just weeks before the national championship, the race that could change everything, Andrew was jogging along a familiar road when a speeding car appeared out of nowhere. The impact was violent. Pain exploded through his body. When he woke up in the hospital, doctors stood around his bed with expressions that said more than words ever could. His leg was broken badly. One doctor finally spoke. He might never run competitively again. Those words crushed him, but even in that darkness he refused to let his mind rot. From the hospital bed, he began moving his arms, strengthening his upper body, exercising his good leg, and visualizing every step he would one day take again. Progress was painfully slow, tiny movements, endless frustration, but he reminded himself again and again, consistency, even in tiny steps, is the key to success. A year later, Andrew returned to the track. He wasn't the same runner. A brace supported his leg, and fear lingered in every stride. The national championship began, and from the first lap he struggled. Pain clawed at him. His breathing was heavy. One by one, runners passed him. By the final lap, he was far behind. The old Andrew, the barefoot boy running through narrow streets, flashed before his eyes. Every rejection, every fall, every lonely morning, he didn't stop. With everything he had left, Andrew pushed forward. His legs burned, his vision blurred. But he ran. He crossed the finish line in third place. Not gold, not glory, but qualification, proof, victory over every voice that said he couldn't. Andrew didn't just win a race that day. He won a battle against doubt, pain, and fate itself. His journey proves that success isn't sudden, and it isn't kind. It is built in silence, in suffering, and in showing up every single day when quitting feels easier. Consistency doesn't promise comfort, but it promises growth. And for those who refuse to quit, that is enough to change everything. So this is it for today. I hope you liked the story with the lesson. Please subscribe my channel for more interesting stories full of lessons. Till next time, goodbye.